In order to make any positive changes in your life, you have to bring attention to what is happening in the current moment with what you're thinking, feeling, and how you're acting. It is only through this attention and awareness that you can intentionally make changes to get the results you want in your life. So I'm gonna give you my top tips today for how to bring attention to your daily life. Tip number 1, practice mindful breathing. There's 2 ways you can do this. In the first, you're consciously controlling the rate of your inhales and your exhales, so the rate of your breathing. There's several different technology varieties that you can use to do this. A lot of watches have a mindfulness activity where you kind of breathe in and then breathe out based on a shape or a sound or a vibration. There's several apps that are also free that I really love to do that. The other option is to simply watch your breath. So you're not trying to consciously manipulate or control your rate of breathing. You're simply watching the act of breathing within your body. That one's a little bit harder and a little bit more advanced, but both are beneficial in bringing you to the present moment. So being aware of what's happening. You don't have to do this for long periods. You can just set it up to start with 5 minutes a day and then increase to 5 minutes twice a day, and then slowly expand from there as your brain is working on that focus and present moment awareness. Then you can go for longer and longer periods, and you'll notice that you can start to translate that awareness into other activities, not just breathing. Tip number 2 is take time to reflect on a regular basis. I recommend at least minimum daily. Depending on what type of reflection you're doing, you might want to increase that. So just a couple of examples. One is to do a daily journal or thought download where you're taking all of the thoughts that are in your brain and putting it onto a piece of paper. That helps you kind of realize what's going on in your brain, what you're stressing out about in the future, what you're reminiscing about or being depressed about in the past, and kind of lets you understand where your brain is at in the moment. Another great way is to set reminders for yourself throughout the day to periodically check in and see what you're experiencing physically and emotionally. So if you're somebody who suffers with, physical symptoms of pain or fatigue or something like that, the physical check-ins will be helpful of bringing you back into the present moment of okay, if you do this regularly, when are you feeling good? When are you noticing your energy waning or your pain levels increased? If you're somebody who's struggling with their emotional health, just being able to check in regularly and understanding when you're feeling really up and happy and being able to name those emotions and experience those emotions, and then also understand when you tend to feel more depressed or angry or down. Just help tapping into being in the present moment instead of always being worried about the past or the future, which we humans are very good at doing. Tip number 3, and that is to reduce distractions. As a type A female mother perfectionist, that's something that's pretty hard for me, but it really does help you be in the present moment. For me, I find that my brain is always wanting to plan 2 steps in advance, and just being able to say, all we have to focus on right now is this task at hand, and then we'll worry about what's next after completing it, brings this sense of calm and decreases the level of just constant tension and stress. That one probably has taken the most practice for me to just really truly be in that moment and not trying to plan ahead or answer text messages, things like that. Silencing your phone regularly throughout the day to minimize those dings that pull away your distraction from what you're doing is a great way to do that. I have also just turned off any notifications that aren't like a text or a phone call, so I don't get any email notifications. I had to silence all my weather notifications because it wanted me to know about everything, and I don't need to know about every little weather fluctuations in the surrounding areas. So anything that you can do to minimize how much is getting thrown thrown at you at one time will be very helpful. Another big thing is just practice turning off the TV. If you're somebody who's used to having the TV on at all times, not only is it kind of visually distracting, pulling your visual attention away, but the sound is also very distracting. And your brain is trying to process both what you're doing or the conversation that you're having and listen to what's going on in the background. So give your brain a break, minimize those distractions, and practice, focusing on what you're doing in the moment. Tip number 4 is to spend time in nature. Nature has a very calming effect on our bodies, on our nervous systems, on our minds. And so spending time, quiet time in nature on a regular basis can be very helpful and also help your mind focus and be aware and bring attention to the present moment. Even something as simple as going on a walk during your lunch break can accomplish that goal of spending time in nature and being more aware and being more focused on the present moment. Try to do it free from distractions, so don't be on your phone the whole time. As much as possible, try to do it by yourself without a coworker or somebody walking with you, just so that you can take time to kind of observe nature and get the maximum benefits from it. Tip number 5. If you have never tried one of these modalities before, I highly encourage just testing out several options for mindful body movements. So those would be things like yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong. And it kind of takes it a step further from the breathing awareness into moving your body with more awareness. Tip number 6. So if you are not somebody who really loves one of those mindful forms of movement that I just mentioned in tip number 5, another way to really tap into your body and the present moment is to engage in your senses. So take time each day to just stop and ask yourself, what do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What do I taste? And what do I feel? Just doing that will also help your brain focus on what's occurring right now instead of being pulled to the future or the past. And finally, tip number 7. This is probably the most advanced, but if you get there, I do highly recommend doing a daily meditation practice. And that can look different. There's lots of different varying forms and there's lots of different platforms that you can use to get yourself started. It can be as simple as you setting a timer and trying to sit in silence, and every time your mind is pulled away from the present moment, acknowledge it and then bring it back. A lot of people find that frustrating initially because they want their mind to be blank, but that is not the purpose of it. The purpose is to know that your brain is going to try to go off and go plan or go think or it wants to be working. And it's a practice. All you have to do is continually note it and then bring it back to the present moment. Focus on your breathing, focus on the sensations in your body. And when it inevitably drifts away, bring it back. An easier way to start is with like a guided meditation, whether that be like a relaxation technique or body scan or something like that. Again, there's lots of different ways you can do this. There's lots of different apps. Usually they require a subscription, but you can start off with, just like guided videos on YouTube or something like that, or try a free trial of different apps for a week or so. The more regularly you practice this, just like with the breathing that we talked about in tip number 1, the more that you do this, the longer amount of concentration your brain will develop on focusing on the present moment. And that's what you want to get to, because it is through awareness and attention to what is currently happening that you can set your intention and start to make changes to get you the results that you want in the future. Check out my neuroplasticity video if you're curious about learning more, but just understand that doing this regularly, doing this repeatedly, your brain will get better and better at being in the present moment. And that's the first step to making any positive change in your life.